Following on daily from Kandy, Harmy, we're a day out from the start of the T20 series, Sri Lanka against England. The ODI players have gone home. Phil Salt, Jofra Archer, they've all arrived here in Sri Lanka. Jofra won't be part of the squad for this series. But what should England look to get out of these final 3 games before the World Cup?
I think what they've got to do is, from a preparation point of view, is make sure they've got their plans more from a bowling point of view than their batting. I think they're batting. Apart from that slight injury to Ben Duckett, which could be a concern, making sure their game plans in sync and from a captaincy point of view, Harry's got his bowling combinations and an idea of how he wants to target the power play at the start, the middle overs with a spin. If there is a seam option to bowl in that middle overs, Curran with pace off it, Overton hitting the pitch, Archer possibly, and then the death, how he sort of marries up them 20 overs, because it's important that you get your plans in place and you can sort of get in a position of getting used to it as a team, knowing what the roles are, knowing how you're trying to combat that 20 overs, because when it comes to the pressurised situation of tournament play, the last thing you want to be doing is wondering what's going to happen and what's going on, playing off the top of your head. So in these 3 games, if you can get the way of in sync, and it becomes instinctive that this phase of the game we're going to be doing this, and this phase of the game we're going to be doing this. This is our plan. This is how we're trying to execute, and going for it under a sort of lesser pressurised situation of a bilateral series against Sri Lanka rather than tournament play.
What's more important for England in this series? Because the ODI series is obviously World Cup qualification points, so you have to win. But learning the services and adapting and getting those plans redefined, even if results don't go your way, in the longer term, say they lose this series 2-1, but then if they win the World Cup, then that's all that matters for Harry, I guess.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he will say that, but you don't want to win. You don't want to win. You want to win all 3 games. You want to make sure that you're going into a tournament full of confidence. You want to be going in with runs or wickets under your belt, and finding, especially in this part of the world, finding a way to win, in difficult situations, in challenging places, and taking responsibility. These are the things that I think you've got to nail down when you're preparing. But winning's a habit, and it just showed you in that ODI series. England, I didn't think England were too far away in the first game. They ironed out a few issues in the second game, got themselves in a position to win the game, and then got over the line. And in the third game, completely dominant. The transformation from the first game to the third game, the team confidence was through the roof, and that's what winning does. And I think, from a preparation point of view, if you can win all 3 games, stands you in great stead going into a tournament.
Let's hear now from Phil Salt. He's one of the players that have just landed this week, Harmy. He's only in for the T20 series. Let's hear from Phil Salt now. I spoke to him at the team hotel earlier today. Phil, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Sri Lanka. How have you had the last couple of weeks off? You feel refreshed and ready to go?
Yeah, obviously got back home early Jan, had a bit of time off, and then straight back into it at Old Trafford and at Loughborough, getting ready for this. And it's good to be out here now with the series starting tomorrow.
I was reading today it's the first time you've actually been to Sri Lanka. It's the first time you played against Sri Lanka. So how are you looking forward to this next 3 T20s?
I played LPL out here a few years ago. What would that have been? 21 maybe? But I've not specifically been here. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. And I know they're a strong team in their home conditions. Obviously the boys got the job done in the ODI series the other day, so hopefully we can carry that into this series and put our best foot forward, going into what's quite a big 6 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah, I know the bigger thing is to come, but how are you approaching these 3 games? Is it about fine-tuning your game, getting everything you need to then elevate in that T20 World Cup? Yeah,
I think so, and I think also just as a professional, it's about focusing on what the task is at hand. I think these conditions are going to be completely different to Mumbai and Kolkata, so there's no point looking ahead to that and thinking, what do I need to do in a couple of weeks' time? I think it's be where your feet are, and it's really, really basic, but do what you need to right now to get ready to play these boys tomorrow.
Have you had time to look back at the last couple of years? Because obviously IPL winner and your game's come on leaps and bounds over the last 2 years. What have you put that down to?
I think just constant stacking of the basics. Quite often I sit in these and people say, oh, what's the one thing? And there is no one thing. There's no golden bullet, I wish there was. I'd be everything. I'd be on the tennis tour, I'd be a scratch golf, I'd be everything. I think it's just about constant stacking of the basics, do the best you can, and always having your eyes open, always looking what you can get better at. I think that's a massive part of it, just staying as level as possible and stacking the basics one day after the other.
And how much has playing all around the world in these franchise tournaments and getting little bits of information from every tournament helped you develop, I say, over the last 2 years or so?
Yeah, I think even longer than 2 years ago. I was playing franchise cricket long before I played for England. That's probably what gave my way in. I wasn't one of these guys who England would have known about from the age of 15, 16, 17, 18, didn't play 19s. It took me a bit of time to force my way in at Sussex, where I started. I'd never had that sort of ECB pathway route. My routing was through playing franchise leagues and going away and just trying to better myself. So it's probably the cornerstone of my career, to be fair. And it gets rubbished a lot, doesn't it? Franchise cricket and all the rest of it. But it's been really, really important for someone like myself.
Yeah, and I appreciate you say it's been rubbish there, but you do get to play alongside the world's best players. So why do you think it's just a reputation of the money that's spent in it, or why do you think it gets a bad rap?
It's probably a combination of that. I've said before in the press, I think in the UK, I think we're quite suspicious of it. I don't know why that is. But I think we are quite suspicious of it. It always draws a lot of criticism and all that sort of a thing. And yeah, we love Test cricket. I love Test cricket. Everybody does. We know that. But franchise cricket and specifically T20 is such a big part of the game now. I couldn't give you an answer, but just always got one eye on it, haven't we?
And the fact that you've obviously had a run in the ODI side, but you're out the ODI side now. Does it help that you've put all your eggs in this T20 basket over the last sort of few years, just to make you the best T20 player you can be, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I could spend my time going, I feel like I'm one of the best, if not the, in the country, and why aren't I? I could spend my time doing that, but what I'm going to do, instead of just focus on myself, just say, I'm going to be the best I can be at this. This is where I've still got an opportunity to impact and win games and, take us deep into a World Cup. And that's what I focused on, that's what excites me. And that's what I'm going to do. A lot of guys often say, the spread too thin, the schedule. There's all sorts of challenges that come with playing more than one format of international cricket, but now I feel like I've got an opportunity where I can put my full energy into being the best I can be at T20, and that does really excite me.
I know preparation has been a bit of a key word over the last few months with the Ashes and stuff, but I was reading you tend to watch quite a lot of the opposition, so when did that come along? Has that been something you've always been done, or with experience have you now got a formula that you stick to in terms of preparing for series? Yeah,
I think it's been a case of tweaking it over time. I always tried to do it when I was a bit younger, but it's a skill essentially, preparing. It's a skill in itself, and I've got better at it over the years. And now I keep it a lot simpler than I used to. But I think it's just about setting it up for yourself that there's going to be no surprises. Teams play with different balances here. They're probably going to play the 3 spinners here, 2 seamers all round, like whatever they go with. It's about just knowing that if they play the 1 seamer and the all rounder, that you're prepared for that. That that guy that's to come in. What he does. He likes to set his overs up. He likes to get in and out of overs. Really, really basic things. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to hit any of those balls for 4 or 6. But it's just you've got a handle on the game. Sometimes that split second quicker than they do, and I find that can be a massive advantage.
Are you a firm believer then in if you put in the work, the outcomes will follow? And is it even more satisfying when you are in the form that you're in because of all this behind the scenes, what people don't see? Yeah,
I'd say so. And I think like I said to you about my route into it, from when I was late teenager. Everything that I've done has been built on just doing the basics and keeping it as simple as possible. So yeah, I suppose it is. I just want to keep stacking, good training session after good day. That's going to give me the best opportunity. You create your own luck, as they say. So that's the way I look at it.
Let's talk T20 World Cup then. In footballing analogies, is this your FA Cup final? Is this your big moment?
Well, Champions League, isn't it? At least.
That's true.
Oh, Club
Bit
World
of a
Cup.
traditional answer.
Yeah.
For the FA Cup then, so
It's Champions League.
Times have moved on now.
Yeah, in the 70s maybe. Yeah, I suppose so. I'm not sitting here and putting that expectation on it, putting anything on it that shouldn't be there. But I am, once we finish this series and hopefully get a good result here, it is something to really, really look forward to. Yeah.
I know you're City fans, Champions League is more your vibe anyway. But going back to, you said the wickets in Mumbai and Kolkata are different here. But psychologically, how big does it help go into a place where you've had great memories winning the IPL and just that little, you go into India with that little extra spring in your step because you've had good memories there in the past? Yeah,
I think, a few of our guys have those good memories as well. It definitely adds a bit. It's like footballer going to a ground that they've done well at, or also going to a ground the last time they played there they got injured. It just creates a mood that you can't quite put into words. So yeah, hopefully we get over there and we have that feeling. We've just come off an ODI series win. Hopefully we go there with the T20 series win under our belts. Hopefully we just create that mood and just keep it rolling, one after the other, I suppose.
And how do you feel this T20 side's building over the last couple of weeks? Because there's been a lot of talk about the ODI side and obviously a great result here. But in T20 cricket, you've won 7 of your last 8. You hit 300 in a T20, for goodness sake, 6 months ago. So where do you feel this T20 side is at?
I think we're in a good spot. Did you say 7 out of the last 8?
8 completed games. You had that washout against South Africa. But
yeah, we did. Yeah,
that was a 5 over.
Yeah. I think we're doing well. I think we're tracking well. That doesn't really count for anything tomorrow night. But I think we're in a good spot, and I think it's just about taking care of the basics. It's so boring, I say it so many times, but you've got to take care of the basics, everyone as an individual, and then feed that into how the team's going to play, how we want to play, how we want to put a stamp on the game. And if we do that, we'll be in a good spot. Just
finally, away from this series, away from the World Cup, you've been named captain of Welsh Fire for the 2026 100, obviously born and grew up in Wales. How much does that mean to you, as in someone who's born in Wales, to be captain in the Welsh franchise?
Yeah, it's obviously, it's massively important to me, and my family. And then to go back and to do the filming the other day at St Asaph Cricket Club, where I first picked up a cricket bat and played before I moved away. It was a really proud full circle moment for me. It's a complete reset now on the 100 as well. Only 4 players at each side pre-auction, so it's an opportunity to have that hard reset and to take stock, and then to come up with a plan and drive it in direction. We've got, each team will be looking to do exactly that, and it's exciting. It feels like, I feel like this year of the 100 coming is probably going to be the most exciting year. It's definitely going to be the most exciting year from a player's point of view. So I really look forward to that.
So that was the England opener Phil Salt. He's had a remarkable couple of years, Harmy. His record since 2023 has been tenfold, with his average and his strike rate and that partnership with Joss at the top. But one of the interesting things about Phil is that he watches bowlers before, he gets his iPad out, looks at all the preparation. As you said, preparation's been under the microscope quite a lot, but we're just showing how T20 has evolved, where 20 years ago it was seen as a hit and giggle game, but now you've seen with Phil and the preparation he does, it's a science, isn't it?
It is, and especially at the power play end. He's at the business end, he's at the coalface. He is the one that I think sets the tone, makes a difference, because a 45 to a 60 run power play is probably par for the course around this part of the world. But if you've got somebody like Salt and Butler and they can get an 80 power player, now all of a sudden that takes a game away from the opposition. You are in total control of where the game's going. So he has become very influential. Not many hundreds. You get many hundreds in T20 cricket, and he's got 4 of them in international.
England
T20
have 8.
Cricket.
To put it into context,
he's got 4.
half
So
of them, yeah.
that really says a great deal. And you mentioned all the way back to sort of 2023, 2024. In that time, Phil Salt was talked about as being a future England wicketkeeper from a Test match point of view. I remember when the new regime, Bazball, came in. Phil Salt's name was on the list, along with the likes of Cox from Essex. Now he was at Kent. Jamie Smith was mentioned. It was, were we going to continue with Bren Folkes? Do we need some explosiveness? Phil Salt's name was mentioned about playing Test match cricket. Now, I think technically, I'm not sure he's there for that. And we've seen he's sort of fallen by the wayside in the 50 over format. But in T20 cricket, I think he's brilliant at the top, and he's shown in different parts of the world that he can be effective. The Caribbean, he was effective. He's been effective in the subcontinent. He's been brilliant in England. So, he alongside Josh Buttler really set the tone, and I think they're the two that, along with Archer, are probably the most influential players in this team when it comes to how we start the game with a ball, how we start the game with a bat, and then all of a sudden, the middle overs, you've got a Rashid, you've got a Brook with either discipline. They are sort of 4 or 5 key components of how England are going to have to build their success.
I was looking up Phil Salt's career basically before speaking to him. He's played for 17 different teams, franchises around the world. He's never played Sri Lanka. He's never played in Sri Lanka. He's never played against Sri Lanka, which is pretty rad considering the amount of short-form cricket played. But we head to Kandy, as I say. We play at the Pallekele from tomorrow. What do you want to see from the surface?
Well, we hope there's whenever I see a Test match surface, I want a contest between bat and ball. Whenever I see a one-day surface or a white ball surface, I want to be entertained. I want to see 6s and 4s. The bowler, I say that because obviously a bowler.
Batsman's game now.
It's a batsman's game, but I think a good bowler, top bowlers, they find a way of making sure that they still become relevant on these flat surfaces. But I want to be entertained. So I'd like to think that the pitch is more like Colombo Game 3 as opposed to Colombo Game 2. If it's Colombo Game 2, we're not in for really too much excitement. If we're in from Colombo Game 3, and that's transported all the way up here to Pallekele, then I think we'll be in for some real entertainment. Both teams have got good spin bowlers. Both teams we've seen have got destructive batters at the top. But in T20 cricket especially, I want to be entertained. I'm not quite at the Hyderabad stage where you're getting 250, 260. I think that's far too much in the favour of the batter. But I want to be seeing scores of between sort of 160, 180, 190, and then see how the opposition handle the pressure of scoreboard and chasing like that. So that's what you want. It's a smaller ground in Kandy up here. It is a smaller ground. It's not as big as Colombo. So hopefully, because of that, and a little bit of a better surface, we might be in for 3 very, very good games of T20 cricket leading into what will be an exciting World Cup.
It's an evening game for us here in Sri Lanka, Harmy. Starts at 7 p.m. in Sri Lanka, 1:30 in the UK, one air at 1 p.m. It's a huge 3 games for England as they look to fine-tune their prep for the World Cup. And a reminder, you can hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary on talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. We'll be back for following on daily after that first T20. But for now, thanks for watching.